Right. First off, I need to read a quick disclaimer. What you're about to hear is based on true events, some of which may have been tweaked for your entertainment. I was really nervous about making my speech today, so I prepared a few lines. Having just snorted in the toilet, I feel great. Just joking. I'd like to start by thanking Chris for finally acknowledging I'm indeed the best man. Some would say brilliant man, but today's not just about me. Now, this is my first best man speech, so I've looked through the internet for tips and advice. One of the main tips that kept coming up was to not let the speech go on longer than the groom takes to make love. Obviously, I had to ignore that. Look at the size of his muscles, there's probably nothing left down there these days. I also read the line, whatever happens on the stag, stays on the stag. But I've adapted that to whatever happens on the stag, goes in my speech today. I know Becky's only just forgiven me for the stag, so I apologise in advance for what you're about to hear. So Friday night. It's the traditional fancy dress night. Chris chose the theme of superheroes. But he said that Ross told him that he has to go dressed as a woman. I said to him, no, you don't have to do that, but he was quite adamant, it was fine. So I said to Ross, why did you say that to him? And he said, no, he said, I said that to Chris. I said to Chris, you don't have to go dressed as a woman. He got angry at that point and told me he is going dressed as a woman. So I thought it was one of those things he just has to do, get out of his system before he gets married. Which brings me on to the fact we're all actually quite surprised today that Chris married a woman. Due to the rumours that have been circulating for the last 15 years. Which has been strengthened by his love for getting hot and sweaty with half-naked men, looking in the mirror, grunting, and all getting showered together afterwards. But what Chris does when Becky's at work is his business. So back to the stag do. So Friday night we went out. You've probably all seen the pictures on Facebook of the fancy dress, and yes, Chris had to borrow at least two pairs of socks due to his tightness of his Tinkerbell outfit. So we went out and being a bit blind as to where to go, some of us have been out in Bournemouth before. Being the best man, I lined up a nice little bar called the Litter Tree. Or as the taxi driver called it, the Litter Tray. He said, it'll be full of stag do's and everyone's going to be in a fancy dress, you all blend in, it'll be fine. So we pulled up to these bars and out we got, and quick to realise that we were the only ones in fancy dress, but there was a lot of men in the area. So we had a few hours of drinking, went to a few bars, and we realised there's a lot of men, and a lot of friendly men. We soon found out we'd actually come to the area called the Gay Triangle. So, despite Chris begging us to stay, we decided to get in some taxis and go to the nicer part of Bournemouth. So we jumped in some cabs, went over to the nicer part, pulled up by some nice bars, lovely bars, loads of females there for a start. Pulled up, went to the first one, but the doorman didn't like the sight of 12 superheroes trying to get into their upmarket establishment, so were very quick to turn us away. This happened at the next bar, and the bar after that, and then the doorman said, you ain't going to get in anywhere around here dressed like that. So at that point we had to accept defeat, call it a night, and off we went. That set us up nicely though for the Saturday night. We had loads of traditional pranks planned for Chris. First one was to get him drunk. So after a glass of his favourite Baileys, it was pretty much gone. And so off we went, headed off to the nice posh club that I had lined up. And in we went, and after about 10 minutes, Chris wasn't there anymore. Everyone else was there, I checked around, everyone there, but Chris had gone. So made a few phone calls, trying to get hold of him, a few messages, no reply, no nothing. So okay, so ended up we drank the litre of vodka, litre of Jaeger, and 2 bottles of champagne I'd lined up. And then I thought at that time I'd probably go better look for Chris. At that point, it was only me, Mike, and Jamie left. So it's about 3 o'clock, so we started our manhunt for Chris. First place we looked, obviously, was the bar next door. Once in there, we thought better have a drink to help our search. That continued from bar to bar, drinking in each one. At some points, forgetting even Chris was missing. But then got to about 4:30 in the morning. That's when Mike declared that he's had enough. He's going home. And he's not that close to Chris anyway. True story. And that left me, Jamie. So off we went searching. And after a successful river jump challenge by Jamie, we did a bit more searching and decided to go back to the hotel. So we pulled up at the hotel, just as another cab pulled up, which was some of the other lads that had been out all the night. They hadn't seen Chris all night either. And then some of the other lads that had been back at the hotel, that had been outside smoking, said that Chris wasn't in his hotel room, hasn't been back all night. So at that point I suggested, why don't we all have a look around the hotel area? But again, Mike said no, not worth it. Let's just go to bed. So we did. So I got a few hours sleep, woke up with the sobering thought of the coach leaves in a few hours, and how can I go back and explain to Berkeley that Bournemouth has him now and he's gone? There was soon a knock at my door, and it was from one of the lads sharing a room with Chris to say he had come back about 7 o'clock in the morning. I went straight in to check on him. Turns out he left the club around midnight, straight into a taxi on his own, back to the hotel, but then soon realised he had no money. So we got frog marched to the cash boy. He went straight to the cash point, paid the taxi, and the next thing he remembers is waking up in the Burger King drive-through lane after throwing up all over himself and soiling himself. To confirm this, I lifted his duvet and we all got our phones out and took pictures. But there is an alternate theory to this evening. Unknown to Chris, one of the lads set him up a profile on the gay dating app Grindr. Chris proved to be very popular in the gay community. And on the Saturday, we replied to the 43 men that messaged him, arranging to meet Chris in the toilets around midnight, which was the same time that he went missing. So coming back 7 hours later with a big poo stain, he had to get out of his system before he got married. That's so true. I've known Chris for about 16 years, so as you can imagine, I've been going all night, various stories. But I asked Chris, is there anything I can't mention in my speech? And he said, yeah, the last 16 years. So, unfortunately, I'm not able to tell you. Not only has Chris managed to work for every major supermarket, he's managed to get sacked from every major supermarket. I can't tell you about the times he's all been arrested, or even how their firstborn Lucy was conceived. I'm saving that for her 18th birthday now, mate, don't worry. But let's just say it involves an Only Fools and Horses convention at Moat Park and a quickie in a bush. True story. I was quite surprised though when Chris told me that he's going to Wales for his honeymoon. I assume that's where they're going. He said he's going to bang her for a week afterwards. Blue. But I couldn't just do my speech. Ripping into Chris. I had to think about their relationship and how much in love they are. And for me, I think the fact that Chris can get up at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, take Becky to work, shows just how much he loves her. And for Becky to accept his obsession with the gym, I think it's twice a day, every day now, shows again just how much she loves him. I think you'll all agree it's been a beautiful day so far. Long may it continue into the night. Bit of karaoke later. No? So, Becky, sorry, Chris. My cards are messed. Right. Chris, you get to leave here tonight with a beautiful, funny, dedicated, loyal, hard-working wife and mother to your 2 children. Becky, fortunately, you get to leave with Chris. Also said to Chris also told me, sorry, that there's I'm not allowed to mention any of his ex-girlfriends in my speech. But it's only about 15 seconds worth of speech, so I won't bother, don't worry. I will tell you though, the story of how they first met. It was about 12 years ago, about 12 years ago from Jan. Exactly 12 years ago. Chris was on a night out, and he noticed a blonde, and he couldn't take his eyes off her all night. After a few drinks with Dutch courage, he made his move. He went in closer. Their eyes locked. The connection was made. The electricity was building. Closer and closer. But at the last second, Vicky moved that way, but Becky was gone. Yeah, I think we'll all agree Vicky had a very lucky escape. And it was only on their 3rd date that Chris decided to sing to Becky a cappella, "Sorry seems to be the hardest word." Quite ironic really, is when it comes to Becky, he soon learned that sorry is in fact the easiest word, as he started every sentence with it for the last 12 years. And I know he's been desperate to recreate that loving moment, so he's asked me now if he can do it for everyone right now. Oh, I got a tune tonight. But, so yeah, 12 years ago, and despite the 82 breakups, the year they spent apart, 12 years going strong, yes. Can everyone stand up, raise their glass for a wonderful couple, a fantastic couple, soulmates, best friends, an inspiration to me when I meet my future wife. Everyone, my mum and dad. And I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Payne. Clap then, you bastards!